So, hello there everyone and welcome, it is Niran here, and today's video is going to be talking all about some of the new things that have been added for FIFA 19 career mode. Now, I realise it's been well documented by myself included that there hasn't really been too much in the way of revolutionary additions to FIFA 19 career mode. That's due to the fact that beta is pretty limited in the big changes. I mean, it literally looks like a reskinned version of FIFA 18 from what has been floating around on social media. However, the more people have been playing the game, the more they've been noticing small and little additions that have been added to FIFA. Now, straight off the bat, it's quite good to have these new little things. It's not necessarily always about huge additions to the game. They need, huge additions need smaller tweaks to go along with them to make it, I don't know, it's a difficult one to explain, but there's certain things on FIFA career mode on FIFA 18 that were really frustrating even though they were really small issues, and a lot of them, in fairness, have been fixed for FIFA 19 career mode, which is nice to see, I guess, but obviously we do want some big revolutionary feature to go along with this. So that's the backstory for this video. If you go on to enjoy it, slap a like on this one and subscribe if you are new to the channel. It's the big red button under the video and it really helps me out if you go ahead and press that one. Now there's a lot to cover in this video. Again, they're all pretty small things, but they're hopefully going to add up to at least make it seem like a different game mode to FIFA 18. That's at least something I'd like to put forward. Anyway, first of all, the first thing you're going to notice probably when you start up your career mode save is that ultimate difficulty has finally been added to career mode. Beforehand, the best difficulty in terms of the AI was legendary. However, on squad battles and on ultimate team, there was an ultimate difficulty which was a step above legendary, and that was even harder to play against the AI. So it's nice to see that they brought that across from ultimate team to career mode. It's a very logical decision, and to be honest with you, I don't know why it wasn't done beforehand, but at least it has been done. We need an AI that doesn't underestimate small teams and then play really well against big teams. The coding of the AI is all wrong, despite the fact the difficulty is also slightly too easy. So hopefully, EA will fix that as well. Now, along with that, we've got some new menu faces for Regens and Youth Academy players, which actually represent what they look like in the game. One very frustrating thing that was more of an OCD factor than anything else was the fact that a lot of your Youth Academy players would look completely different to what they actually do in-game. Sometimes they'd even have completely different complexions. I've had plenty of players who are black on their profile and then white when you use them in real life. No, well, not real life, but in the game is what I'm trying to say. And when you play games with them, they are completely different in terms of complexion. That's not a thing anymore. They actually get the face they have in the game as a 2D scan, if you like. So you've got new Youth Academy and Regen faces, and I think there's a little bit less in terms of the blank faces as well in the Youth Academy. I don't think you get those as much anymore, so like the silhouette ones. On top of that, there's plenty of new article cutscenes as well. Again, not something massive, but it is nice at least to not be seeing the same things from FIFA 18. You get a new generation of players, or the next generation even, which basically highlights the top 4 young players at that point in the career mode save, and their featuring in that article raises their value quite extensively. So if you have a player in your team that's featured in this, their value may go up by £2 or £3 million just because of the hype and the buzz around the fact they've been included in this article. Along with that, you've also got new pre-game cutscenes of players getting off their buses or coaches from their respective clubs to, for an away game or whatever, and also new cutscenes for signings, which is like a presentation where the player is like dribbling in the middle of a stadium and the fans have maybe come to see them in some massive presentation thing like we had with Ronaldo and Santi Cazorla for Villarreal as well. Got a really cool one. There's also Europa League and Champions League promos and promos for derby games as well. On top of that, there's also awards for the best in the world in each position. That comes at the end of a calendar year, so for 2018 you could have the best strikers, might well be Suarez, Lewandowski, Harry Kane, and maybe, I don't know, someone else, Benzema, I don't know why Benzema would be in it, but maybe Benzema. Benzema, and then the best midfielders, which might be someone like Eden Hazard and Felipe Coutinho, and I don't know, like whatever tickles your fancy, quite frankly. But that's another new one. I don't know whether that has the same effect on player ratings or player value in terms of transfer value as it does for the young compatriots or the younger players that get featured in articles like that, but hopefully it does. Hopefully it has some sort of impact on the career mode save rather than being an aesthetic feature, but that again is something new for FIFA 19. One thing that I think is going to be, it sounds still quite small, but it's probably going to affect you the most out of these, is the fact that you can now train sprint speed and strength into players. Generally speaking, physicals was something that were very hard to train into players. The only thing I can think of was probably stamina and then agility, maybe balance as well. Apart from that, you couldn't train any physicals at all, and the main ones really, especially when it comes to FIFA, being strength and speed. Now you can do training sessions that include the growth of strength and speed in your training slots. I believe you can only train one of the two per player per week, so if you want to train speed, you can't also train strength at the same time, just because of the way the skill games work. But it is nice to see that, because often you get a youth academy player come through who's got a really good potential, but they're like 32 in strength, and all you need to do really is tell them to go to the gym and then maybe get a bit stronger, but that player is completely ruined because they can't shove anyone off the ball. So it's nice to be able to do that, I guess, in training. Not really a career mode specific thing, but there's now graphics packs for League One, so you now get the same treatment as you would in the Bundesliga and in the Premier League as well. There's also the La Liga one. There's talk about there being one for Serie A as well. That might have been confirmed, but I haven't seen a screenshot for it or any leaked images of that one, but I know there definitely is going to be the official graphics pack for League One. And then on top of that, we've also got new menu backgrounds for the Champions League and Europa League in career mode. So when you get to a midweek game in the Champions League, the background menu changes to be one like the Champions League branding, and then if you've got a Europa League tie, on a Thursday, it'll change to be that. In terms of searching options, you can now look for players who solely have release clauses. So there's a little option, you can tick it to have a release clause for certain value, and it'll filter out players who don't have release clauses. So it's quite a nice way of trying to get a bargain. That was something you couldn't do on FIFA 18. You just had to pray and hope that players you had on your GTN scouting or shortlist would in fact have a release clause. You can now actually search out players with that. And on top of that, you can now see players with their release clauses without them being fully scouted. Back to Youth Academy players, they can now be loaned out straight away. On FIFA 18, you couldn't actually loan players out. If you just promoted them into the Youth Academy, it would say they'd recently joined. However, you can now literally promote a Youth Academy player and then loan them out literally immediately on the same day if you want to, which is quite nice, because if you know you're promoting a player with a good potential, but they're not going to get any game time, then it might be worth their while going out on loan and hopefully getting some game time. Would still be nice to see reports of those players whilst they're out on loan, but that still doesn't seem to be a thing. There's a new international squad hub, and included in that you can now change the numbers of your international players. So when you go away for a tournament, you can decide every player between 1 and 23 instead of having weird numbers like 39 and 44 that you wouldn't actually have in your World Cup or European qualifier squads in real life. So you can now do that. There's a proper hub for it. Again, another feature that would be nice to go along with this is the ability to not get offers for international teams, because it does clog up your newsfeed quite a lot, or your inbox, sorry, and a lot of them are ones that I don't want to accept, so that would be nice to go along with that in terms of changes for international management, but again, that doesn't necessarily seem to be a thing. One interesting one that was another OCD thing for a lot of people was the fact that it seems like badges on sleeves change depending on whether you're promoted or relegated, so that would lead me to believe that potentially stuff like numbers and fonts on the back of shirts also change. So when you get promoted maybe from the Championship to the Premier League, you'll actually get the Premier League branding on the shirts and the Premier League numbers rather than keeping the EFL default ones, which is quite a nice feature actually, and one that people have been wanting for quite some time. It's always a bit annoying when you do a Road to Glory, get to the end of it and you're still wearing EFL kits, so if that is the case, that's quite cool, and the badges obviously change as well dependent on whether you're in the Champions League, Europa League, Carabao Cup or the FA Cup, and of course other European trophies that go along with that in other domestic countries and leagues. And then the final thing, which is one that I'm quite happy with, is the fact that you can get a budget increase from the board dependent on how well you did in the season before. Every single career mode season I've done so far has been horrendously dealt with in terms of finances, because, well, the finance system on this game is completely flawed, and if you get tournament prize money, you don't necessarily earn it the next season. That is now not necessarily a thing. You might not get it straight away, but the board can allocate you a heck of a lot of money if you overachieve or achieve your sort of objectives the season before. There's a screenshot of a Manchester City manager getting an extra £74 million based on doing well the season before, which is pretty mad, and if that is the case on a lower level for lower teams, that'll really help people out, especially if you can't ask for funds still on FIFA 19, which would be another small feature that I would quite like to see into the game. So you can see there, kind of a barrage actually of new small features for FIFA 19 career mode, which I think are all, in all honesty, hand on heart, quite positive. However, we still need a bit more. Well, we still need a lot more. We still need quite a few big features, or at least a couple of big game-changing features to enhance career mode and make it a lot more fresh than FIFA 19 is to go along with these small things. Regardless of that though, let me know what you think of the new additions and features that have been announced so far, or that have been discovered so far, for FIFA 19 career mode. Obviously they don't seem to be enough, but are you happy with them as far as small additions are concerned, and what would you really like to see going forward into FIFA 19 career mode that EA might just be able to pull out of the bag? Drop it down in the comment section below, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, and slap the subscription button if you're new around here as well. My Twitter and Insta are down in the description below. I'm at the official FNG on both of those, but it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a great day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.